class 11. Today I have come with the other following points to be discussed in the first chapter, what we were doing, that is from the beginning of time. Okay, so as we learned in the previous video about the story of the evolution of man, how many years it took for man to come to this stage. Okay, we learned that it was in 5.6 million years ago the first primates had evolved on this earth, and the modern man by 160,000 years ago. So as we study this chapter, we find that there are different views on the evolution place of man, where man was first, man evolved on this earth. The first place is too much debated by different historians and archaeologists too. Okay, so there are different views, and the main evidence of the Homo sapiens is mainly said to be found in Africa. In your book, in page number 16, okay, you can find a column on the left hand side of the book, that is the earliest fossils of human. And here, when you see this table, you'll find that mainly those fossils are found in the places like Africa, and in Africa many other places. Okay, and also in Australia, Borneo, France. Okay, so according to this, we have an issue that the origin of man was only in Africa, but some say not only in Africa, in different other multiple places. Okay, so was there a single center of human origin or multiple centers? There is a question, and there are many views and arguments. So according to that, there are two models. Okay, two models discussed by different teams of archaeologists. Okay, so here is the model. Okay, and you will get in your book in page number 17. Two models are there. Okay, I have drawn for you here. Okay, so this model, these two model, one is the replacement model, okay, and the other one is the regional continuity model. So according to the replacement model, it says that Homo sapiens migrated in single place, that is in Africa, and later they migrated to other parts of the world. Okay, and they replaced all those archaic humans in these regions. Archaic means here primitive. Okay, thus it entails that all people today share a relatively modern African ancestry. Okay, means every people in this whole world, their ancestors are related with Africa. Okay, this theory justifies the anatomical homogeneity amongst all the humans in the world. What do you mean by anatomical? Anatomical here means physical features, the physical characteristics. Okay, amongst all the humans in the world is homogeneous, means similar. Okay, so this is the model. What tells about the replacement model, that the origin of man is only in Africa, and gradually it shifted to different parts of the world through the help of migration. Okay, another model is, the second model is the regional continuity model. So according to this model, there are archaeologists whose views are that Homo sapiens originated in multiple or different parts of the world, not only in Africa. In the same time, in different multiple parts of the world, man had originated, and in their respective regions from local archaic humans. This theory justifies the variations in humans in different parts of the world. And why does this theory justify that man wasn't originated only in Africa but in multiple places in the same time? Because of different types of physical characteristics, they say. Okay, this theory justifies the variations in humans in different parts of the world, means different physical characteristics, they say. Okay, but again, according to these two models, here in replacement model visualizes the complete replacement everywhere in all older forms of humans with modern humans. In support of this view is the evidence of the genetic and anatomical homogeneity of modern humans. Those who suggest this argue that the enormous similarity amongst modern humans is due to their descent from a population that originated in a single region, which is Africa. Okay, the replacement model says that. And many people, they believe this replacement model may be the truest one. Okay, because the physical characteristics of every human being is similar, but it changes the color of the skin or the features changes according to the environment. Okay, according to the climatic condition, man tries to adapt himself. Okay, so due to adaptation, you see, humans are the result of adaptation. Differences of physical features in man, in human, is due to the result of adaptation over a span of thousands of years. Man staying in one place and adapting that climatic condition of that region, of that environment, okay, to the particular regions. According to that, there is differences. So many of the archaeologists or the historians believe that man's actual place of evolution was in Africa. Okay, so that was all about the regional continuity model and the replacement model. Okay, now we go to the next part is early humans, how they used to obtain food. It's very easy, you already must be knowing. Okay, early humans, the ways of obtaining food. How did they collect food? How did they obtain food? Did they go to the office? Did they go to sell their things in the market? Very early times? No. Okay, how did they obtain their food? By gathering, by hunting, by scavenging, by foraging, by fishing. So these are some of the ways of obtaining food by man. Okay, as we know, man needs food, clothing and shelter. Number one, he needs food to live. Without food, so in that early times, man used to do, number one, gathering, collecting of fruits, roots, tubers, okay, and that was his food. He would also go for hunting some not fierce animals, okay, but gradually fierce animals too, when he started to hunt in a group. Okay, then he started to do scavenging. What do you mean by scavenging? Scavenging, consuming the dead animals which were maybe natural death or some other animal. Okay, powerful animal had killed a weaker animal, a timid animal. Those leftover remains of the dead were being consumed by the early man. Okay, so scavenging and fishing. Fishing was also seen to be done. And how come the evidence, how come the archaeologists came to know? Because of some evidences. These evidences are like fossils, the stone tools used for hunting, then the cave painting. In the caves also there are some drawings, some paintings have been done of hunting. So from that they have come to know that these are the different ways of the early man to obtain food. Okay. Now hunting probably began, see, hunting probably began in page number 17. You'll find, when did hunting begin? Okay, hunting began later, about 500,000 years ago. The earliest clear evidence for the different deliberate planned hunting and butchery of large mammals comes from two sites. So some evidences have been found in Boxgrove, okay, in southern England, and in Schöningen in Germany. Okay, that is, there are some evidences, there are sites where fossils of huge abundance of animal bones have been found. Okay, that meant that hunting was done by the early men. Okay, fishing was also important. Fish bones have been found. Okay, discovery of fish bones. And now in the book we'll come to know that whether the hunting was done both by men or women. So this question is still to be answered, still to be discovered. Okay, so it has to be investigated that whether the role of the men and women in hunting was similar or not, or only men used to go and women used to stay back. This is not known at all. Okay, now we come to the next part. Early humans, from trees to caves and open air sites. What do you mean by this? Early humans, where did they used to live? Whether they had house to live like what we have nowadays? No. Early men did not know how to make homes. Okay, so where did they used to first live? On the trees, in the caves, natural caves. And gradually, as his brain became larger and he started to think, okay, he started to get experienced with the nature. He was learning with the help of nature. Okay, he was seeing, watching the birds making their nests. Okay, and with that he also started to build his own house. Okay, from the natural caves he took the experience to make his own house, own artificial caves or homes for settlements, and these evidences have been found. Okay, so to reconstruct the evidence for patterns of residence is by plotting the distribution of artifacts. Means how come the archaeologists have come to know that these places were settlement places of the early men? By finding some artifacts in some sites, in some location. Okay, what are these artifacts? What artifacts did they find? Artifacts like maybe stone tools in abundance where they used to settle. The stone tools will be there. Some artifacts like bone and arrows would have been found by the archaeologist. So those areas inside the caves made, okay, so those cave areas where they have found stone tools or cave paintings or remains, fossils of these early men, okay, that has proved that that place, that cave area was settlement area of the early men. Okay, then in some place like between 400,000 and 125,000 years ago, you'll get in page number 20, caves and open air sites began to be used. Very important. When did early men start to make their own caves, artificial caves, and when did they start to live in open air? Okay, not in the natural made caves made by the nature, but his own handmade houses. So it has been found between 400,000 and 125,000 years ago. Man started to live, to build their own houses. Okay, and this evidence has come from sites in Europe. In the Lazaret cave in southern France, a 12 into 4 meter shelter was built against the cave wall. So you'll find this in your book. Okay, I'll show you page number 24. This is a drawing of that Lazaret cave found in Europe. Okay, and Terra Amta on the coast of southern France also. In Terra Amta also, on the coast of southern France, these type of settlement areas has been found. And how come the archaeologists came to know that these were being habitat area of the early men? That there they had found some stone tools. Okay, then dated between 1.4 million to 1 million years ago. Okay, and what other things they have found? They have found hearths. Hearths. What is a hearth? Hearth indicates, hearth is a place where fire is made. Okay, so these hearths gave the archaeologist the knowledge that the people, the early men in that time, they started to know the importance and how to control fire. Okay, that is why they were having hearths in their caves, okay, in their settlement areas. So this would bring light and warmth inside the cave. Okay, it was of so much importance, light and warmth inside the cave. Then it was used for cooking. Okay, before man used to eat raw things, raw flesh. But by experience, when forest fire caught and the dead animals were being burnt, and the man started to consume the burnt flesh, he found it more tastier than the raw. So he started to cook with the fire these animal hunts and all. Okay, then to harden and facilitated it was used to harden the wood. Okay, man used to make tools not only of stones but of wood also. So wood gets hardened up if it is burnt. Okay, so with burning the wood, he could prepare spears and all. Okay, and this he could facilitate the flaking of tools also, to flake the tools, to cut the stones into layers. Okay, flaking it and making it sharper. Okay, man started to use the fire. Then to scare away dangerous animals, and this fire was very useful for man to defend himself from the dangerous or fierce animals. Okay, so these hearths have been found in these open site areas in Lazaret cave mainly, and in Terra Amta also. Okay, so this is how archaeologists have found the evidences that man had shifted from trees to natural caves, from natural caves to their own made caves and settlement areas. Okay, now we come to the next part, that is early humans making tools. So who were the early men who used to make tools? The Homo habilis. Okay, Homo habilis are known as man who could make tools. Okay, so in page number 20 of your book, you will get that paragraph there, early humans making tools. Okay, Anatomical and neurological adaptations. What change came to man? Gradually the time was passing by and man was growing up, he was developing. Okay, his brain was becoming larger, he was now standing upright. Before he would used to walk on fours, now he started to walk upright. He became a bipedal from a quadruped. Okay, he started to make tools because his two forelimbs became free. Okay, it was very helpful now that, and he started to use his brain, his knowledge, his intelligence, his creativity to make different types of artifacts. Okay, so this is what it says here: anatomical, physical characteristics, capabilities, qualities of man started to develop. Okay, and neurological adaptation. The neurological, the holding of the pen or a needle could be done by man. Okay, so these changes were there. Earliest evidence in Ethiopia and Kenya. So the making of tools, the earliest tool used by man has been found in Ethiopia and Kenya. Where is this Ethiopia and Kenya? In Africa. Okay, so the first tool has been found in Ethiopia and Kenya. It is likely that the earliest stone tool makers were the Australopithecus. Okay, as in the case of other activities, we do not know whether tool making was done by men or women. Same thing. Like for hunting, I told you before, whether men and women went for hunting or not is not known. And for this tool making, whether only men used to make the tools or both men and women used to make the tools are not yet known. Okay, so women in particular may have made and used tools to obtain food for themselves as well as to sustain their children after weaning. Or some beliefs are there that maybe women also must be making tools for her own safety, maybe, and to have a small amount of hunt, okay, when any male is not present, for herself and for her children. Okay, when the male went for hunting, or maybe hunting would take 2 or 3 days or maybe weeks also in that time, isn't it? So in that period, maybe the women folk used to hunt for herself and for her children. Okay, in the time of weaning. Weaning means when she doesn't breastfeed, that time. Okay, so about 3500 years ago, improvements in the techniques for killing animals are evident. Okay, 35,000 years ago, it has been seen by the archaeologists that stone tools were now becoming more efficient. Skilled ones have been found with different techniques being used by man in that period. So what techniques? See, they started to make spear throwers, okay, to throw to the very far distant areas. Okay, like the spear throwers were been made, bows and arrows have been found. Okay, and invention of sewing needles have been also found by the archaeologists, that man in that period, that is about 21,000 years ago, sewing needle was used by man. Okay, man started to sew their clothes mainly hides of the animals, okay, or bark of the trees or fur. These were their clothing. Okay, then introduction of punch blade technique made possible to make engravings on bone, ivory, wood or antlers. Okay, now we can see in the book page number 21. Okay, in page number 21, another technique was now prominently used by man. Okay, that is, see, in this bone you can see some engravings being made. This can be done only by a minute a small chiseled weapon, okay, and implement. So this was a new technique, okay, that is punch blade technique. Punch blade technique was used by man by the time like 21,000 years ago, okay. Besides, with the introduction of the punch blade technique to make small chisel like tools, it was now possible to make engravings on bone, antlers, okay, and ivory or wood, okay. So we can see how man was developing day by day, okay, as the time was passing by. Now we come to the next most important point of discussion of this chapter, that is in page number 22, modes of communication, language and art, okay. Modes of communication, language of art. Modes of communication means of communication. How man used to communicate with one another in that period, okay. And next part is what there? Language and art. Why art? Can you communicate with art? Yes, we can communicate with art. When you draw a painting, you want to say something, isn't it? You want to depict something in your painting, in your art. So that is also a communication. So in this period, language and art here means language and art were the communication factor for man to communicate with one another, okay. So there are several views. Number one, that hominid language involved gestures or hand movements, okay. There are different views that in the beginning, when the hominids were there, okay, when they had no verbal language to talk to one another, what did they used to do? They used to involve with gestures, okay, facial expressions, or with hand movements they used to talk to one another. Number two, that spoken language was preceded by vocal but non-verbal communication such as singing and humming, means gradually as time passed by. Only using gestures and hand movements was not going good, okay. So they started to improve themselves by what? Non-verbal communication, not having any words or any sentence, okay. They started to communicate by singing, by humming. How you can see in your Tarzan movies and all, how Tarzan communicates with animals, okay, that way. So maybe shouting or singing like that, okay. Then gradually that human speech probably began with calls like the ones that have been observed among primates, okay. And gradually it seems that human speech started to improve by observing the primates talking to or communicating to one another, okay. So that human speech probably began with calls like the ones that have been observed among primates. Language may have developed as early as 2 million years ago. Says it is believed that language must have developed early as 2 million years ago, okay. Now, when do the spoken language emerge? The question comes, when do the spoken language emerge? There are three suggestions, okay. You'll open your book and you'll get it. When did spoken language emerge? Number one, when brain of Homo habilis had certain features which would have made it possible for them to speak. As gradually that man's brain became larger, okay, in the homos, under the hominid, their brains were becoming larger, okay, and their larger brain started to what? Started to have development in making of language, of emerging of language, okay. Number 2, that when the evolution of the vocal tract was equally important, okay, there was change in the vocal tract of man, that is of the Homo, okay. Vocal tract started to change by 200,000 years ago. This is second suggestion, that might be the vocal tract changed. There was development in the vocal tract of man, okay. It is more specifically associated with modern humans. And the third suggestion is that language developed around the same time as art. And the third one is believed that language developed at the same time when art also developed. That is around 40,000 to 35,000 years ago. The development of spoken language has been seen as closely connected with art. Okay, what we want to speak, we can draw it also. We can communicate it with the help of drawing, okay, since both are media for communication, since both language and art are medium for communication, okay. So it is believed that language and art both developed at the same time, okay. So today, up to this part, I will finish for today, and hope that you understand the lesson, and along with my video session, you just go through with the chapter and write down the questions and answers. And today I'll stop, and the next chapter will start with the hunter-gatherer societies from the present to the past, okay. So stay safe and stay at home. Thank you.
Stay home, stay safe, do it for yourself, do it for your family.